Alrighty. How is it going? Oh, wait. Is it too low? Oh, there it is. Uh, Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, actually, no one because nobody showed up. Let's see. Participants and only the streamer is on stream. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Alrighty. So, today we're gonna have a little bit of a chill stream. We're just gonna kinda. Okay. All right. Oh, reconnection. Oh, we had a connection interruption. What? Oh, I'll have to restart my stream. I'm sorry. I have not fixed my fucking resolution. I forgot. See ya in a minute. Please? What? Please check video resolution, the current resolution, which is not optimal. I know that. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do if my screen is not 1080p by, what is it, 8 something? It's not, it's a weird resolution, so it's going to be 1092 by 614. Actually, why is it even this? Why did I set it to that? Why am I downscaling? I just kind of realized. Why am I downscaling? Uh, okay, now I will admit, this is a lot better than Twitch because if it interrupts the stream, you just don't see anything for like a few seconds. And I can reconnect. Whereas with Twitch, you kinda screwed. Your stream just ends. Unless you do reconnection protection, but that lasts like for a little bit. Alrighty. Do we actually have a viewer or what? I don't know. I don't see anybody in chat, so I'll just assume nobody's here. Actually, in fact, I can. Nah. What the heck? Why is it saying that there is one playback? What is playback? Other times, including page refreshes and change of camera angle, this number does not increase when a viewer switches resolution. Change of camera. I don't know if that's me or what. Okay, anyway, I'll just pretend like nobody's here. Or okay, well, as long as nobody's in chat, nobody's really here. So let's see. Let's see. Actually, you should pretend like you are um, what is it? You are streaming for like 1,000 people when you stream for zero, because then your stream quality goes up. I mean, like actual behavior of the streamer. All right, I think it's time to tell OBS to actually open up this thing. There you go. Nice. I just want to make sure. Okay, I'm gonna close YouTube now. There you go. All right, so today we're gonna be um, thinking about something, you know, pretty simple. Pretty simple. We're gonna write a config file format for MVC, which is Minecraft version control. So it's a Python set of Python scripts, and currently I have kind of thought of it and I designed this very simple config file. And it's gonna change like 1,000 times because I don't actually know what to do. But kind of wanted to go through this, and this is going to be what we're going to be doing today. Uh, so the regular way we're going to figure out if a piece of data that we see in a Minecraft world is different from what we have in the previous commit is pretty simple. We're just going to compare the hash of the new chunk to the hash of the previous chunk. And if it's different, we're going to say that the chunk has been somehow modified, so we have to do something about it. Usually, That would be enough. But there's a small problem here. The problem is that the way we save, uh, okay, let's say the chunk is different. We're gonna save the new version to a database of all of our commits. And then let's say it's a super flat world, okay? So all the chunks in a super flat world are the same thing. They're literally the same thing. And so let's say we have another chunk we want to save into version control. Instead of saving it separately, what we can see is, oh, wait, the um, the hash of this chunk is the same as the other hash that we already have in the database. So why do we save it again? Well, we can just say, oh, this chunk is the same as that thing over there. Now, you might be thinking, let's say that original chunk changes. Does it change the other one? No, because when that chunk changes, we're going to save a different file with a different hash to the database, and we're gonna in the next commit link to that new file, so it's not gonna change whatever is dependent on that hash basically. So that's kind of the idea, but there is a small problem. First of all, if you look at the chunk data, which I have open over here, if you look at the chunk data, oh, and by the way, music today is 1 a.m. study session and some white noise because it's been pretty good. I like it. Bro, can you please not interrupt me? Okay, anyway, just somebody wanted to say something to me, so I paused. Continuing on, if we look into MBD data structure, you can see here that it stores the X position and the Z position inside of the chunk data. The issue with storing it there is because even if the chunk has the same, like sections, the same everything down here, if these X position and Z position are the same, then when we hash it and we hash another chunk in a different position, it's going to have two different hashes. So before we hash it, we're going to have to decompress the data if it's compressed for some reason, parse it, replace the X position and Z position with nothing, or better say, so either remove them or set them to zero. We're probably going to set them to zero. That's probably yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. And once we set it to zero, we're then going to hash it. If we want, now there is no point really compressing it back. Yeah, there is really no point. It's just an extra compression that we have to do. So we're just gonna the raw data with the x and z positions set to zero. We're gonna hash that, and then we can compare it because then if we set these to zero, uh, then on every chunk they're gonna be the same. So if this is the same and all of this down below is the same, then we can say that the chunk is the same in terms of what it stores inside of, like the biomes and the sections and, all of the tile entities and stuff like that. So, yeah. Now, I was originally thinking, oh, why don't we let the user select what goes into the database? Like, say, if they don't want to store structures, they don't have to. Then I thought about it, and I'm like, why the heck would you do this? What is the point of it? What are you achieving with this? When you restore the chunk, you might actually want to have all of the, structures, especially the nether fortresses. You want those to be in the chunk data that you store in the database of all the commits. So I'm not gonna strip away anything. The only thing I'll do is I'll replace anything that is specific to the position of the chunk. So the X and Z position, maybe, maybe I will make uh, positions of structures. This is impossible. Anyway, continuing on. Jeez. Continuing on, we are gonna need to probably. Here's a thing. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it. I have a problem actually now that I think about it. Because, hmm, yeah. So yeah, I have a bit of a problem. Because the thing that I'm thinking about is all of this, like, look, the x coordinate origin of this ocean ruin or shipwreck. I mean, what are the chances that there's gonna be? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, we'll just pretend like. Okay, I don't think I will be converting anything else except for the x and z position to 0. Because I could mess with some of the things like entity position. I could make it relative to the chunk origin, then the world origin. I could do all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, what are the chances that the entity is going to have the same exact rotation and the same exact position as another entity of the same type in a neighboring chunk or like somewhere else? Like, what are the chances? It's like if that happens, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. No, 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 it's not happening. So, yeah, we don't have to worry about it. There is one more thing that is the structures that can theoretically be like chunk aligned. So they might be the same thing, but then the other blocks in that chunk are gonna be different most probably. So let's not bother with this. We're just gonna change this. But we're actually not here to discuss the like the x position, z position. What I am here for is I am here to try to make a tool that will generate a diff based on. Actually, that's not what I was supposed to say. Hang on. The thing I'm here for is for the config file. Yes, for the config file, because this tool for generating the diff based on the chunk hashes, that's already done. I've already done that. This is not a super flat world, and you can see here this void is chunks that don't exist. So they have not been loaded yet. So somebody was going around like this. I don't know what is this stuff in the center. This is part of some region file in Hermitcraft world. I don't know which one. And honestly, I do not care. I mean, we can look up what the X position and Z position of these chunks are, but I'm not going to do that. Uh, Point is, this is what is in the region file, and we can see so all of the hashes, as far as I remember, in fact, I actually don't remember, so I'm gonna have to look it up. All of the hashes are the ones, basically the same chunks, so the same chunk data. If you see a letter D, that's a different data. If you see a dash, uh, I don't actually know what that means. It is something else. It's probably because, oh yeah, the last commit does not contain any data about this chunk, and the last one, the space, is if the chunk does not exist in the original world. So we don't even check the ones that don't exist in the world. Once they will start existing, then we'll see, oh, maybe there's something in the database that we have to do. So then, with this, we now would like to say, okay, well, the hash doesn't match, but is that difference in the hash really important to us? And the way we're going to do that is probably going to be with the config file that I was supposed to show you, this one. And here we're going to have a bunch of things that we're going to basically exclude from the diff. So what I'm thinking, we're probably going to have maybe two hashes, in fact, now that I think about it. Would we? Yeah, you know, two hashes maybe. Maybe two hashes, I don't know. The first hash is going to be the hash of the entirety of the chunk, and this is going to be like a fast lookup, probably. And then there's going to be the second hash, and that second hash, uh, I don't know. I don't know. So if I think about it, okay, I'm not really sure. So my idea with this second hash is to have the a way to determine if, let's say, the chunk is slightly different, but the reason why it's different is because the entity is just moved over like one block or something. So we don't really consider that something different, right? It's kind of the same thing. As long as everything else is the same, we don't consider that a different chunk. And so I was kind of, eh, I don't know. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Hmm. Okay, well, so, okay. Anyway, now my idea here is that we're going to have multiple sections. These sections are divided with these square brackets. Basically, everything from the square bracket, either until the second square bracket or to the end of the file, is going to be the section. So this section describes one thing, this is something else, this is something else, and this is something else. And I am going to follow this convention where I plan on having support for other packages or like scripts or something. And because we're going to have multiple packages, they might have the same name, like the diff drop, but they might be a different package. There might be two packages or more than two packages that have the same kind of like name of the section. So we're going to have this namespace dot and then the actual package. I'm not sure if it's going to be a dot, it might be like a colon or something, it doesn't matter really. That's not the point. The point is that all of this stuff belongs to the standard uh, stuff that goes into the MVC, the standard like functionality of MVC. And we are here, we're just defining like some directories, such as our source, so our Minecraft world is stored in data. And inside of that data, we just have like two or three files really. Um, and then MVC root, this is where the commits will be stored to. So that's MVC underscore data. And I'm gonna rename some of these keys later, but that's not the point. And then here we have the condition, um, basically a condition in under which we drop the chunk from the diff kind of computation. So here I just set it to source equals no chunk. So if in the world there is no such chunk, we don't compute the diff for it. Now it's gonna be probably something like MVC dot commit that diff drop, because when we roll back a chunk, uh, even if it doesn't exist um, in the like Minecraft folder, we still want to probably put something there. So this is probably going to be like something like MVC dot what is it, commit dot diff drop. And then here, this is basically uh, everything that we exclude from the diff. So when we compare our key value pairs, We are not going to compare positions of the entities, height maps, last update, lights, and if the ID of the entity is Minecraft Slime, we are just completely dropping that stuff. Now, this is a Python like default config file thing. So you can see that if you read this config parser doc, you can see this is pretty powerful. Like you can actually, you see how you can have multiple words and like brackets and stuff. So you can theoretically make like a scripting language that you can put a little script here. So I am thinking of doing something like this, but in this case, we're just gonna, do something simple. It's probably gonna be uh, this key is gonna be probably something uh, like a command maybe. Like it could be something like entities.id, or maybe it's gonna be something like entities dot, I don't know, like exclude entities ID, and then say like an equals Minecraft slime. So this might be the actual syntax. I am not really sure about it, but for now I'm just gonna keep it like this. So that's kind of the idea. And then here, uh, this is what we remove from the actual commit data, which is the entity that has a slime ID. So I'm pretty sure that probably the way we're gonna have it is the, I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I want to have a actual scripting language that you can use inside of the config file, because that's kind of the point. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, because it is kind of a little bit complicated for me to design like an entire config file thing in just like one day. So we're gonna now try to parse this file from our Python script. Python script right now does something with this hashing. We were not really interested in this. And is this going to be redone anyway? So doesn't matter. So we're just going to say that our config. Oh, I did something. Config file equals. How do you use this thing? Please. Okay, you import config parser. Okay, and then you say config default. Wait, how the, okay, how do you, wait, hang on a second. Oh, I guess that's filling in as config file, config dot write, the heck? Config dot write config file. Oh, I guess, oh, there it is. Oh, nice. So you actually config, you can actually create a parser, and you're gonna call this parser. What do? You do config.read, config.read. I guess that returns an object that is printed immediately. Config.read. Do you need to import like, yeah, config? Oh, yeah, this is not the way to do it. Equals config parser dot config parser. Yeah, you know what? This autocomplete for Python is just it, it's it's so annoying. Can somebody please make a good Python autocomplete for Emacs? Because this sucks. What the heck is this? I mean, okay, config parser dot read, and we're gonna be reading dot mvc because that's the file. And let's see, okay, sections. Okay, and so then once we have that, we're just gonna print um, bitbucket.org in config. Uh-huh. User. Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. For key in config, print key. Can I somehow get a list of all of this? I guess for section in. Oh, the way you get sections is config.sections. So config parser dot sections, and then for key, you have to print section, and then you do for key in section, you do actually, what is it? Section? Yeah. Oh, it's like, wait, it's not this way. It's, is this a list or what? Yeah, it's like strings. So you have to do config parser section, then print and f string that has key equals. Wait, no. What does it do? Hang on. Where the heck is this? Key in config print key for index 11. Oh, wait, is it? Hang on a second. Is it? Uh, are oh no, the keys in sections are case insensitive and stored in lowercase. Uh, uh, what? Config parsers allow for heavy customization if you're intended to use. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's actually customize it right now. Let's customize it right now. Let's see. What if I want uppercase? Oh, you can have default values, but what if you... Okay. Mm-hmm. Delimiters. Default value. Okay. Oh, nice. You can have like... Oh, pretty cool. Also the spacer and delimiters. Mm-hmm. Config parser. Oh my god. Extended interpolation. Shebang. Hash. Interesting. How can I make this, let's see, Boolean states, secretary. Okay, control find case. Hang on. Okay, start low. Okay, the met the supported data type. So what if I want a case sensitive thing? Actually, I kind of don't want case sensitivity. Okay, let's not do that. Makes sense. Okay, going back to this. So we are gonna print key, and then we're gonna print config parser section key. Let's do that. Oh, what happened? What happened? Source contains parsing errors. .mvc entities. What the? Source contains parsing errors. Why so? Oh, is it because it's not, they don't have a, okay. I have an idea. Uh, diff eval diff drop drop keys drop entries. Okay, here you go. Now I will admit that it doesn't look the way I wanted it to. Let's do this in F string, and let's make this happen. And that stuff seems to be fine. And it's going to tell me that something is wrong there because it indeed is. And there you go. So there is one more thing that we are gonna do. We're gonna say print and just nothing. I'm hoping that's, you have to print something. Oh, do you? No, you don't. You don't have to. There we go. So MVC, MVC dot commit diff drop. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, I don't like the way that uh, entities. And actually, that's kind of fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering about a few things because when you're making this kind of scripting language, you have to really think about what would be the easiest way to code the interpreter, but as well as that, you need to have a way to uh, have that language, um, readable. And I think that I'm gonna go with Lisp for this one because Lisp is like the easiest thing you could have ever imagined. Lisp is really simple because you have a list. The first item in that list is the operation or a function. The rest is the operands of that function. So it's extremely easy. You just read that first operand and that's it. But Lisp is not the best language to write in because you kind of have to think backwards of first thinking of what operation it is and then the rest. So we have the actual parser done. So now that we have this, we need to now make this into a thing that, so we know that it reads everything and everything's good. There is one more thing. There is one more thing, and that is that we will need to convert this into um, kind of like a, a, a in-memory representation of this entire thing. So I'll just be writing in this file, and then I'm going to move all of that stuff into probably nvc config.py or like config.py. Yeah. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. We'll then say that, what would I say? Hmm, let me think about it. Let me think about the, oh, what is this? An alternative handler for interpolation, which depends more than syntax used for instances. Standard interpolation using section option to not evaluate from a foreign section interpolation. Oh, look at this. Section option interpolation can span multiple levels for convenience. If the section path is omitted, interpolation defaults the current section, possibly default values from the special, and possibly the default values from the special section. For example, the configuration specified above with basic interpolation would look like this with extended interpolation. Escape, cost, $80. Use $8 to escape the sign. Dollars on the counter that needs to be escaped. Values from the other section can be fetched as well. Look at that. Look at this. Yeah, so we cannot use colons. So we will probably use dots. It would be kind of nice. Nah, you cannot. Okay, that's fine. Mapping product access. Okay, self config parser. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Customizing parser behavior. Nice. Love this thing. I mean, look at the amount of stuff that it has. Okay, so I am kind of thinking, so I know that you can use an F string to generate like a class or something. So I'm just thinking, um, can I use dots? Can I wait? I have another question then. What happens if I go into my config file and I say that drop keys is gonna be null? What would happen then? Let's see. Drop keys in section already exist. Oh, you cannot have the same. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. You cannot have the same stuff. Hmm. Interesting. I wish that there was a way to make a section within a section. That'd be really cool. Because as far as I understand, this is not actually underneath the thing. Extended mapping protocol. What? Customizing our parser behavior. Okay. Oh wait, does this include the set single operation? Okay. Value. Default value equals false. Oh, it's not false. It's not always false. It's not always false. Interesting. Okay. All right. So I have kind of come up with the. Let's see. We're gonna need to then think of a way on how we're going to do the entire interpretation thing, because this is not something easy. So let's say, oh, what did I do? Oh, I did this. Come back. Uh, so what is going to be the order of things that's going to happen inside of this any world? The first thing is going to be to load. No, the first thing is going to be to get a hash of. No, get a list of all eligible chunks. Okay, that's going to be the first thing. The second thing that we're going to do is compute hashes of those chunks of all eligible world chunks. Then after that, look up um, let's see, find chunks with different hash in the database. What else might we need? Yes, so then once you find those difference um, for no no then I'm not gonna yeah let's not have them numbered because we're gonna renumber them like a million times. um, of eligible commit chunks. Okay. Let's call them DB chunks. Find chunks with different hash in the database. Then decide if it's really different. Okay. If it is not different, then store last not diff hash to a database. If different, then update the database. Update the DB and the chunk DB and hash DB. And that's pretty much it. So this is gonna be for the commit. Mm, Okay, then we're gonna need to do the same thing for the what is it gonna be? It's gonna be the rollback, I guess, because we're gonna have to roll back chunks. I guess these are the only two operations that we need to do in a version control system. So rollback, you're going to get list of all eligible rollback chunks from world get list of it's gonna be the same thing from world and chunk just db. db is the place where all of the commits will be in. It's gonna be like a database of sorts. It's not gonna be exactly a database, but I'm gonna share with you what it is a little bit later. It's gonna be similar to a region file. Pretty much, it's gonna be the region file. That's gonna be the region file, except that no, it's not gonna be a region file. It's gonna be a region file header. That's what it's gonna be. So you're gonna have a file that is going to be um, for every region. It's gonna be uh, so let me think about it. 32 bits, I guess, is the hash, right? Or is it? Oh, let's say 32 bytes. I don't actually remember how much it is. And then that's going to be times 30, oh, times 32 times 32. So it's going to be this much. Divide into 10, 24. So it's going to be 32 kilobytes per region. It may be smaller than this if I decide to make it this way, although I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. Yeah, and that's going to be the actual database. And It may be compressed, but it may not be. I'm not sure. Maybe compressed, maybe not. Actually, depends on. Nah, it's unlikely it's going to be compressed because it's probably going to just grow in size. Because if you think about it, a full region file is going to be a a pretty random file because it's going to be hashes, and hashes are very random. So uh, maybe in a super flat world, it makes sense to have it compressed because most of the chunks. Hmm, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, a list of all from yeah, so get list of all the eligible rollback chunks. The reason why I don't want here's the issue. If you have a super flat world and you solve the issue of committing, um, or better say, if you solve the issue of storing the same data over and over again in the super flat world, and what I mean by the same data is, like the part that doesn't have any kind of user or player um, activity in there. So if you're doing that, then there is it's kind of a wrong approach. It's really hard to put it into words. Basically, what I'm trying to do is if there's going to be a superflat world and we're willing to emit the chunks that are basically desert in like a redstone world, it's basically just sandstone and nothing in there. We just don't save them. That's it. We compute the hash for those chunks. We say if the hash matches this, just forget about it. Okay, forget about it. Okay. So with that, we're gonna get a list of all the eligible chunks, and we're gonna see which are different. And here, I think we're gonna compute. Nah, we're gonna um, compute hash diff, decide if diff is really diff, replace. Now, once you can, yeah, okay, replace uh, chunks in the world. But there's going to be one more thing. Check if can rollback. The reason why we check it is because um, I am thinking ahead of myself a little bit. And I do imagine somebody saying something along the lines of, if you use a version control system, then you can hack because what you can do is you can put a diamonds in a chunk, commit that chunk to the database, break diamonds, and roll back that chunk so you get the diamonds back. Yes, you can do that. You can do that the same way with just doing the slash give. And the easiest way to mitigate this kind of cheating when somebody places diamonds, and in fact, I'm pretty sure that the bug that was with the chunk data overflow, that that's still not fixed by Mojang. They have kind of tried doing it. Maybe in 1.17 it's going to be fixed. I don't know. But point is that they have tried. There's a bug in Minecraft where if you put too much data into the chunk, and you can put like a bulk that has some random stuff in there, If you put too much of that data, you will eventually clog it up so much that this chunk cannot be compressed, so it cannot fit into a 1 MB, so you cannot save that chunk. So you can use this for duping. That is already possible in Minecraft. You don't need a version control system for that. Um, and also slash give exists. And also, the easiest way to protect against this kind of cheating is just to say that we cannot roll back unless, say, we commit the entirety of the world to the database. Like this is something that we can do. Like unless you commit everything, you're not able to, do anything. And what's really cool about the commit uh, data is that it is pretty cheap. You're not saving, if the chunk is the same as it was before, the only thing you're saving, the extra space you're adding is the small 32 kilobyte file, which is pretty small compared to what you can have in a chunk file, in a region file. A small 32 kilobyte file that contains hashes of all your chunks. And you can even make it um, so that you only save a certain portion of the world, for example, into the commit. And the rest you'll look up in the previous commit, which, to be fair, why would you do this? It takes a lot of time to restore, but if you really want to, might as well. Especially if you're pretty sure you're going to be committing a lot, but rolling back very infrequently. Eh, maybe, maybe, maybe. Maybe as an archival form, it makes sense to strip away some data, but as a live repository that's used a lot, probably not. Okay, so going back, I mean, there's a lot of thinking because you don't want to put stuff, you don't want to make stuff that you wouldn't regret, because makes sense. Makes sense not to do stuff that will not make sense later. So there's a lot of thinking in this thing. And there's a lot of thinking, oh, wait, we're going to have people that are going to say this. And you're like, how do I please those people? Okay. Hmm. Let me let me think of this little thing. How would I implement this first point? So, a list of all of the chunks. So, I would say it's going to be what is it? MVC dot commit select um, and then say exclude equals, and here let's say like 1.1 um, like 0.2 and blah 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 blah, like some other things over there. So some chunks that you will not want, like hard-coded chunks. I know that like you're gonna have exclude, you're gonna probably have only equals, for example, for the end dimension, like 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna have that. hmm And then, like say condition,